Hello, this is Dr. Ratna Chaturvedi from the Department of Information Technology. The subject which I am taking is artificial intelligence, and within this we are talking about Lisp programming, which comes under Unit 5. In this we have already talked about basics of Lisp programming. Today we talk about Lisp data types. Basically in Lisp variables are not typed, but they are objects. They are treated as an object, data objects. And we can categorize these data types into two forms. First is scalar type and second is data structure. When we talk about scalar type, the examples are like number types, character types, symbol types. And when we talk about data structure, information which is organized in the form of a particular structure, the examples are list, vectors, bit vectors, and strings. As we go further, we'll see that how the variables are defined with respect to different types of data types. Any variables can take any Lisp object as its value unless you have declared it explicitly. Otherwise, the moment you initialize the value to the variable, it will take the type of that particular information only. It is not at all mandatory over here to specify a data type for a Lisp variable, as it is mandatory in other languages like C, C++, Java. However, it helps in certain loop expansions, in method declaration, and some other situations which we'll be discussing in coming lectures. The data types are basically arranged in a hierarchical form, and the data type is a set of Lisp objects and many other objects which belongs to a particular set. To know that which kind of object a particular variable is, we can use a predicate. The name of a predicate is type P. P stands for predicate. It is used to find whether an object belongs to a specific type or not. And in case we want to know that what is the type of information an object is containing, what is its data type, we can use type of. So this we can see in example also in coming lecture. First of all, we talk about the type specifiers in Lisp. So type specifiers are system defined symbols for data type, and apart from these system defined data types, you can create your own data type also. When a structure type is defined using def struct, DEF def struct function, the name of the structure type becomes a valid type symbol. So in coming lectures we'll see what are the different ways to define different types of macros and structures or functions. So apart from this, if you see that the different type specifiers which are being already defined in the system are array, atom, bignum, bit vector, character, common, compile function, complex, cons, double float, fixed num, float, function, hash table, integer, keywords, list, long float, nil, null, number, package, path name, random state, ratio, rational, read table, sequence, short float, signed byte, simple array, simple bit vector, simple string, simple vector, simple float, standard char, stream, string char, symbol, T which stands for true, unsigned byte, vector, and many more. This is one of the example wherein what I am doing, I am using set q. Set q is used to set a value of a variable. These are the variables. Fine. Within parentheses, I am setting the value of a variable. For x, I set it as 10. For y, 34.567. For ch, nil. For n, 123.78. For bg, an exponential number. For r, one rational number. And now if I try to print these all value using print function is used to give the output. We need to write this also within parentheses. We see that for x it's coming 10, for y 34.567, for n 123.78, for ch nil, for bg it's a a big number. It's here. It's an exponential form. It has been expanded over here. Our rational number 124 is divided by 2, and the quotient is 62. So this is how here you came to know that yes, it is not like this as we do in C, C++. First of all, we write data type and then the name of a variable and then we initialize the value. Here, whatever value you are initializing to the variable, the type of information the variable will be having of that data type. And to know this is another example wherein you can see that now in spite of using setq, I have used defpair. Defpair is also used to define a variable. Here I have again initialized different values to different variables, and now I am just checking which type of data type these variables are having. And you can easily see that for x it is mentioning integer, for y single float, for n single float, for ch null, for bg single float, for r integer. So this is how you can also come to know that which type of data type a particular variable is holding. So this is, and in this way you can just clear your own concepts that how the variable has been used in Lisp, how they are going to get initialized with, how they are going to get treated and all for doing any kind of manipulation. Now we talk about Lisp macro. As you know what is macro? Macro allows you to extend the syntax of standard Lisp. A macro is basically a function that takes a symbolic expression as an argument and returns a value in Lisp form whenever it gets evaluated. So the syntax to declare a macro is, we have to start with def macro, and then you will be going to give the name of a macro as per the naming convention in Lisp, and you can pass the list of a parameter over here. Now when you are passing, you have to just check it out. This is a parenthesis which is opened and closed over here, and then there will be an optional documentation string. If you want to put, you can put, and then comes the body form. So basically we say that macro definition consists of name of a macro, parameter list, optional document string and body. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So to define a macro we have to follow its syntax, and after this we'll see an example in which you can just check it out. I have defined a macro to set a value of num, and the name of a macro is set to 10. This is an argument I am sending. Fine. Whenever I call this macro, I will send an argument that will be going to get copied into num. Then I am saying setq num 10. Setq is used to set a value to a variable. Here I am setting a variable value of this num value with 10, and then I am printing. Now if you see here clearly, what you are supposed to just be careful about, this bracket we have started here and closed here, this bracket we have started here, closed here, this bracket we started here, closed here, and this is the parent bracket which is started here and closed here. We have to be very much particular about parenthesis. Now we have already defined the macro. Now I am saying this x variable is holding a value 25. I have used setq function to initialize the value to a variable x, and I have initialized it with 25. Then I printed it also, so I can see the value which is coming over here is 25. Now I am calling a macro set to 10 and passing the argument as x. This x is having value 25. This will go over here. But here, as I have again used one statement to set the value of num as 10, that's why here you see that the value of x which has been copied to num is now being reinitialized with 10 and printed over here. So that is why you see over here this print command is giving me the output as 10. See. This print command is giving the output as 10 over here. So this is the role of macro. This is how you use the macro. To execute the program, you use Control plus E and you see the output is like this. You can use online compiler also. Now see, there are two types of variable. You know that there is a concept of global variable and the concept of local variable. So variable is represented by a symbol. We know variable name is the name of a symbol which is going to store some value in the memory. Global variables have permanent value throughout the entire Lisp program. They are not bounded with the limits. They are global for all the entire program and can be accessed anywhere. Global variables are usually declared using def-var construct. There are so many number of construct, but whenever you are declaring a variable using def-var construct, it means it is a global variable. It is a very simple program where we haven't done anything, only we have initialized the value to x variable as 234. I am trying to write it and I can see the output is 234. Whereas if you see, you can also use setQ construct to declare a value to a variable. As there is no data type declaration for variable in Lisp, you can directly specify a value for a symbol which is treated as a variable and you can use setQ construct. So here we have used setQ x10. Now the value of x is 10. If you try to print, you can see that the output is 10. Like look over here, I said set q x is equals to 10, here y is equals to 20. I am saying printing format is a function to display the formatted output. T means true within double quotes. I am saying x is equals to, it will be going to get displayed as it is. Then tilde 2d. 2 will be the width, d means decimal number, then single space, y is equals to tilde 2d means again 2 is the width and d means decimal number. And then I am saying tilde percentage. Percentage gives a new line break. Then xy. And again I am setting the value of x and y and resetting its value with 100 and 200. Now when I try to print, I can easily see that in this case the value of x and y is 10 and 20, whereas as we have reinitialized it, the value becomes 100 and 200. So this is how we can use setQ construct to set the value of a variable. Now we talk about local variable. So to define a local variable, we know that wherever it has been defined, the life of that variable will lie within that function only. It will not be going to be used with the same value outside the program. And the two constructs which we use to declare our local variable are let and proc. For global, what we have seen, for global, two constructs which we have used are def var and set q, whereas for local it's let and proc. So overall, if we say there are three ways to declare a variable: one def var, second set q, third let, or fourth is prog. Now two we have already seen, two we will see right now. For this, you see it's a let construct and this is a syntax. Within parentheses, you have to write let, and here within inner brackets, we will be writing var1, val1, var2, val2, and so many number of other variables till valen, varen, valen, and now we will be closing this parent bracket over here. So then we will be writing a symbolic expression which we want to get executed after setting the value of variables. So here var1, var2, varen are the variables and val1, val2 and valen are the respective value for those all variables. When let is executed, each variable is assigned the respective value and lastly the S expression will be going to get executed, that is this. Fine. So here you see that what I am doing, to x I am initializing value as a, to y p, to z c. These are the innermost bracket. Outermost bracket says that this entire This entire parenthesis is used to declare three different variables value with three different values. And then this let is still open. Here I am going to display the output. Format t means true. X is equals to, if you see over here, it's clearly mentioned, x is equals to tilde a, y is equals to tilde a, z is equals to tilde, and x, y, z. So each this tilde a tilde will be going to get replaced with the value which x, y, z are holding, and then at the end we are closing this symbol, which is basically the opening bracket of this particular bracket. And now when we execute, I have mentioned over here after execution that x is having values a, y as b, and z as c. So this is how we use let construct. Now we talk about PROG construct. PROG construct is also used to declare a local variable as its first argument, which is followed by the body of the PROG and any number of x expression. PROG function executes a list of x expression in a sequential manner and returns nil unless it encounters a function called named return. Then the argument of the return function is evaluated and returned. Like over here, what we have done, to x, I have initialized this list ABC, to y 1, 2, 3, to z, p, q, and 10. So these are the innermost bracket which are initializing variable value to this z. So z is closed over here. Then similarly in case of y, within y there is a list, and similarly in case of x, within x there is a list. And this is the main bracket which we have closed over here. This mother parent bracket is still open. Here I am displaying format t, x is equals to tilde a, y is equals to tilde, z is equals to tilde, and then I am closing the double quote symbol and writing the name of a variable, and at the end we are closing the prop. And here you can see the output. X is having value as ABC, y is having 1, 2, 3, and z is having p, q, 10. So this is how we use all the four constructs to declare local and global variables. Here we see another example, and this will see how to declare a constant. We talked about variable, now we talk about constant. To constants are those values which are never be going to change during execution of a program, and constant we declare using def constant construct. So here is an example. Here what we have done, we have constructed a constant variable pi with value 3.141592, and we have closed this opening bracket over here. We are over with the definition of a constant. The name of a constant is pi. Now in second step, what we are doing, we started defining a function. We opened a bracket which we are going to close over here. Within this, the name of a function is area hyphen circle. The argument I am sending is rad, radius. TERPRI means terminate and print. It terminates the previous statement, and then whatever the output is there in the cache, it will be going to print. Now what we do, we have to basically calculate the area of a circle, and we know the area of a circle is pi into radius into radius. When we write it into prefix notation, within bracket we will write into pi rad. So here I am saying format t radius tilde pi var means in float with 5 bit I will be displaying the radius, and then I am saying tilde percentage means new line will come, area colon as it is, it will be going to print, and tilde 10f means float value will be printing with 10 size, and then within bracket I'll write into pi rad. So if we see over here, so this is the bracket which we have closed over here, and then this is with respect to this format, bracket is with respect to this format. This is the parent bracket of def file. Once we are over with this, we'll call the function. How we call? We have to write the name of a function and the argument I am passing within parentheses. Once we have written this, we'll see the output. The output is radius is 10.0 and the area is, after calculating 3.145159 into 10 into 10 means 100. It will move 4 decimal place ahead and the answer is 314.1592. So this is how we define a constant and use it anywhere as we have used here in function. So this is all for today's class. Rest we will see in next class. Thank you.